For starters, Rob has a low barrier to entry. He has a very good projectile play game with his gyro and laser. He can be played in a multitude of ways of his diverse playstyle. He can be played in a more aggressive, defensive, and a technical way. And he's a really great character, being recognized as a top 15 character on pretty much almost every single tier list, and sometimes higher, but he's a very known top tier character. For starters, we have the Bait and Punish playstyle. The Bait and Punish playstyle is more played with his gyro and just putting it down on the ground and trying to make your opponent just do anything in regards to the gyro. For example, if you're trying to make them pick up the gyro, you can punish them for picking up the gyro. If they're trying to jump over it, you can punish them for jumping over it. In that essence, you're just baiting them to do anything negative and trying to punish them off of that, which in turn just works with Rob having a really great projectile like the gyro. Secondly, you can play Rob in a more technical manner, which is also in regards to his gyro play. This will be covered more in the later episodes with Recretio, but we'll talk a little bit about it and say Rob's gyro game is really good and almost one of the biggest reasons on why people complain about the character so much. The character has limitless potential with his combos, and just setting them up and everything is one of the best things you can do as a Rob player. And no matter what type of playstyle you try to have, you should always at least have a little bit of the tactical side with you, because why wouldn't you just want to take your opponent's stock at just very early percents? Like, why wouldn't you? And lastly, you can play him in a more aggressive manner. This is how I personally more play as with Rob, trying to use his really good aerials and his really good buttons with his forward air, nair, down tilt, jab, and just trying to set up more tech chase scenarios to try to just get my opponent off stage in any way possible and just taking their stock like that. Now that we've talked about Rob's playstyle, how about we talk about his strengths and weaknesses? Rob's strengths as a character is that he has a really good projectile with his gyro and laser. He has a really great recovery, which is able to pretty much go out to the entire stage, up and down. He has really great stalling with his recovery too. He's really good at boxing with his down tilt and jab. He's really good at tech chase scenarios because since his down tilt is so fast and same as his dash attack, he's able to cover a variety of options with just pretty much anything. He has really great ledge trapping, especially with his gyro. Being able to put the gyro down on the ground and trying to force your opponent to just pick an option really fast is really good for the character. He's also hard to KO because he's more on the heavier side of the cast, and he has a lot of good combos at pretty much any percent except for super late percents. He's also really good at converting off of grabs, with his up throw having a couple combos, back throw and forward throw also having really good combos for putting people off stage, and having a bury down throw. And lastly, you also have great stage control with Rob. Like, you could just put your gyro down and then you can pretty much command the whole stage with just that and your lasers. But there's not all sunshine and rainbows for the robot. He also has a couple weaknesses. For example, he's a big character. He's just combo food. Along with that, he also has a bad tumble animation, which allows him to just get comboed a little bit more than a lot of his other Smash characters. Another weakness that Rob has is that he's pretty easy to two-frame because in his up B, his arm actually goes above the ledge. And sometimes you might just get two-framed from a move that probably wouldn't even hit any other character. And you know how I talked about how Rob's gyro is also a really great tool? Well, that tool can also be used against him. Rob's gyro can be picked up in a lot of ways. And if you're not good with the gyro, your opponent can just use that against you and take the gyro and either use that in their own combo game or basically just limit you having a really good projectile, taking away on what you would just want. Rob also relies on combos a lot more than a lot of other characters because most of his moves are on a more laggier side that would kill, and so trying to set those up is a lot more riskier than just trying to get a combo. Because of that, it could make you seem more predictable in what you're just trying to look for, and sometimes make you struggle to find real KOs outside of the actual combos. And lastly, even though his recovery is super good, his up B is also based on fuel, and sometimes he could just lose a lot of fuel with being in disadvantage and getting juggled from a lot of the cast. A lot of other characters don't have to deal with that issue because they could just up B immediately afterwards, whereas Rob, if he runs out of fuel, even if he gets hit afterwards, he's just done and he has to just either use his jump if he hasn't already, or use his air dodge, which most of the time will just get him punished and end up with a stop class. Rob has just more basic fundamentals to him, but he also has some more unique things that most characters don't really have because of having such a good projectile. But let us start off with the more basics. Rob can do a B reverse and a wave bounce, which can be covered more in depth with pretty much any YouTube tutorial or anything, but it's just a really good movement tool for him and should be used in your kit as well. Another thing is attack canceling. Pretty much every character has an attack canceling move, but Rob's best attack canceling move is his Nair, which allows him to just land easily and just try to avoid what your opponent's doing. A lot of people are scared to either punish Nair or just parry it because of the looming threat of getting Nair side beat. Then he also has IDJ combos, which are really important for his up tilt up air conversion, where you really want to get the IDJ up air after getting the up tilt. And lastly, the more technical aspect about Rob, even though it's not as technical as it may seem, is getting used to doing Z dropping and Z catching in your combo game and in neutral, and also learning how to do pivot cancels. Pivot cancels are a more niche tool that not a lot of characters utilize to their full potential, but Rob's combo game becomes a lot better off of just using these pivot cancel F tilts out of down tilts. But this was Rob's fundamentals as a character and why you should play Rob in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.